Lovers Quarrel. It's a long, sustained quarrel.
What's going on, world?
Hey, everybody.
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
And it's your girl, Dani, your curiously calm coyote. How are you, sir?
I've had better days. And yourself?
I am doing okay. I said I am curiously calm. We'll see if that stays that way as we progress through this episode. But welcome to another episode of Lovers Quarrel. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If this is your second time listening, welcome back. And if this is your third or more time listening, you already know that you are family, or as TJ would like to call you, you are a lover. With that being said, do you want to just jump right in?
Sure.
All right. Are you going up or down?
I'm going down.
Okay, so I'll have you start, and then I will go up for our elevator talk.
Whenever you're ready.
Going down.
So, I purchased a car August or so. So, I purchased a Tesla. And the reason why we're going down is because the Owings Mills Tesla dealership is the worst customer service I've ever experienced in my life. And, you know, I was speaking to my line brother earlier, and I think once a day I'm just going to tweet Elon Musk and Tesla and just let them know how bad of a service center that they are. You know, it's a luxury car, but the customer service I've gotten from them every single time has just been piss poor. If I didn't really want that car, I probably wouldn't have gotten it because, again, the customer service was trash. Like the whole experience was just trash. Like I got more information from my line brother because he did all the research and he was able to answer shit that, you know, that I had. Like when me and him went for our test drive, you know, I'm asking the salesperson questions. He wasn't really sure. So after a certain time, I just started asking my line brother in front of the salesperson. My line brother was answering the questions, and it's just like, the fuck? But, you know, he did state that they don't get commission. So I think that may be why. I also think that the car sells themselves. So it's like, you know, so that's why I'm down. Customer service. And as I'm getting older, customer service becomes more and more important. And it's just like, if you're not going to respect my dollar, I'm not going to spend it. But yeah. So that's where I'm at with it. Owings Mills Tesla is the worst customer service experience that I've ever received. And every time I go there, it's just some bullshit. And every time I call, it's bullshit. They are the worst. So that's why I am down. Fuck Tesla of Owings Mills. And with that, I yield.
Duly noted. Well, I'm going to go up. So going up. And I spent a better part of, obviously we're coming off of the holiday weekend, and we hope that everyone had a safe and restful and rejuvenating Thanksgiving break. But I spent the better part of today with my sister and my mom and my sister's mother-in-law, and we started doing some like holiday shopping for decorations for the house, for just to kind of get into the spirit. I think I might have touched on it last week, but I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to get that done because I got a lot of things that I think will be a part of our like holiday staples for years to come. And I'm excited to like go and set it up. And then, you know, even next weekend, but possibly getting a tree, going taking Tatum to go do that and pick that out and decorating that. So yeah, I just, you know, I'm looking forward to that. And also we have introduced Elf on a Shelf to Tatum. And so she's named her Elf Elfie. And it's only been 2 days, going into 3 days, but it's already really nice to see the wonder and the magic and the joy in her eyes when she like discovers him in different parts of the house and the notes that he leaves. So, you know, I am, for what has been, you know, what can be, we live in a very like cruel and cynical world in general. And this year has been a little bit more intense, an intense version of that. But the beautiful thing about having kids and having small children is that you get to kind of relive the excitement and the wonder through their eyes and their experience. So I'm really happy to have been able to help be a part of that process for her. So I'm just kind of excited and in the holiday vibe for her.
That is an up. That, you know, I was very in my feelings, but that is an up. And seeing her reaction and seeing her excitement is definitely a positive. So thank you for introducing that to our household.
You're very welcome. We're trying to build some traditions here. Okay. So next we have our relationship tip of the week. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
My tip is going to be for, I'm trying to think, is this only relationship? Yeah. So I think this is only going to be for relationships. And as I speak, if I change it, then forgive me. But I want to say that, in relationships, people get content and they get comfortable. And I think that is detrimental to your relationship. And my tip is don't fall victim to, we're not doing anything special, we're not going nowhere special, so I don't have to put the effort. Like, put the effort even when nobody's watching. I think that's what I kind of wanted to say. I'm trying to formulate it as I'm thinking about it. But, put the effort in regardless of who's watching or where you're going or whatever. If your man likes hills and y'all going to the supermarket, it might seem excessive, but if that's what he likes, you should do things that he likes. And vice versa. If your girl likes you to wear cologne, you're going to put on cologne, and especially now we're in quarantine, you're going from the bed to the couch. Put it on. Like, put on an outfit when nobody's there, just because you still want to keep things spicy. Just because we're in a quarantine, just because we're not doing something super extravagant, doesn't mean that you don't still have to put on as if we were doing it. And I think that's something that couples need to remember. You still put in the same effort regardless of what the situation is.
Okay. Well, I think that's also a nice preview of some of the things that we'll discuss later in the episode. So my relationship tip for the week is this could definitely for relationships, but for all the ships too, is to sometimes you have to take a step back and try to determine if you've evolved or if you've settled when it comes to certain things. Because sometimes we think that there's been an evolution in our thinking or our growth, but maybe we've just become okay with or having lowered our expectations, I guess. And I think you need to tread carefully, because I think sometimes they can masquerade very closely as each other, and it might be a little bit hard to differentiate, but you really want to make sure that you're taking the time to examine that, because that way you and whomever you're engaged with has a fair shake at understanding where you're coming from, right? Because if it's evolution, then there's really there's a level of peace made with it. If it's settling, then there still might be a twinge of resentment, maybe. So, not in every situation, but in some. And I think that it's just really important that we all take a moment to make sure that we have truly evolved past something that used to bother us, and that we've not settled. Or that if you have, then you revisit that and ask yourself, why did I do this? What can I do differently? Who do I need to talk to start making things right, or to kind of working through this? So that's my relationship tip of the week. And next, we are going to do our Black History fact for this week's episode. I'm going to jump things off with that. And this week, it's another birthday. Someone else who is also a national treasure, more so than even Cisco. And that is Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm was born on November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. And for anyone who may not know, in 1968, she became the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress. And she also became the first African-American candidate for a major party's nomination for President of the United States, and the first woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. So Shirley Chisholm's name has definitely been coming up a lot since Kamala Harris was first running for president in the primary, and then also ultimately running on the ticket with Joe Biden. And now, the work that Shirley Chisholm did set the tone, and along with many other women of color and Black women who are in politics, but she was another trailblazer of a woman in politics for Black people and for women. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not say she is a member of my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So shout out to Shirley Chisholm. Rest in peace, Shirley Chisholm. Happy birthday, Shirley Chisholm. That is my Black History fact.
Very good. My Black History fact is that James D. Lynch was elected Secretary of State in Mississippi in November 30th, 1869.
Sounds like Reconstruction.
It is Reconstruction. What does it say? He defeated his rival, the convention rival, Dr. Thomas W. Stringer, by a vote of 158 to 36. And so he was the first African-American official in the state of Mississippi, as well as the first African-American Secretary of State of Mississippi. So
dope. That is, I mean, listen, the fact
which is weird to me.
Why?
Because it's just like, if we were during, like, that was like slavery time and all this bad stuff, how was he?
It was just post-emancipation.
Got you.
So
but there were still like races and stuff. So how was he still able to like hold this high position during a time where, as
best as I remember, and please, if anyone has, I will look it up. Also, if anyone has any corrections for me, please comment or send us a message. But as best as I remember, there was this window of time post-emancipation of slaves where they were permitted to participate in the political process, and they were starting to kind of build their own communities and really start to kind of have their own. But typical of our colorless counterparts, they didn't like that and didn't see that the need or like the idea of Black people having so much autonomy and agency, and then took those rights away. So Reconstruction was a brief period, but it was an impactful one nonetheless. And sorry, was that it for your Black History fact?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So lastly, before we get into our sponsor and our discussion for this episode, TJ is going to try and stump me with his word of the week. He did get me last week. There was a difference of like one letter, but nevertheless, he did beat me. So I am prepared to redeem myself this week.
I think this is pronounced austere. Let's see. I don't know if this is a male or woman, so hold on.
Austere.
Severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. Yeah.
Okay.
Dani is austere when teaching.
I'm not that severe, I don't think, but that's a matter of opinion. So fair enough. Austere. Actually, I think I've heard austerity and austere before, so I'm trying to think if I can spell it right. Austere.
You got it.
All right. Redemption is mine. Thank you. Much appreciated. Back in the game. I'm gonna try and manifest and commit that I'm going to get all of the remaining episodes of 2020 that we have the word of the week. I'm claiming that I'm going to get them correct.
Sure.
Would you like to put money on that?
I mean, we can, but if we only have one more episode, then that's not many that you have to do, or so.
Okay. Well, we'll revisit that. And with that being said, we are going to take a moment and hear a word from our sponsor, and then we will be back to dive deep into our two sort of quarrels.
Hey friend, it's time for you to ditch those workout gloves and get the grip and wrist support you deserve. What do you suggest? You need to get the Gaines Load and Lock grips by Gaines Sports Gear. They are more durable than gloves, have a non-slip grip pad that provides grip support and added wrist support unlike your traditional workout gloves, and will protect your hands from calluses. Do they come in different colors? Not only do they come in different colors, but they are available for men and women. Do yourself a favor, go to GainesSportsGear.com. And remember, a better grip equals a better lift. Embrace the process.
And you too can embrace the process by using our code LOVERS10, LOVERS 10 at Gains, GAINZ, sportsgear.com. And now we're going to get back to the episode.
And we are back. And I want to preface by saying that, yes, we kind of blew through our earlier segments, but not because we were trying to rush anything, but I think because we have two very not similar. We have two very distinct but overlapping quarrels to have today. And TJ and I obviously started this conversation off mic, and it might, you can hear it in our tones. But we're going to try and do this in a manner that will lead us to talk about one thing and then talk about the other thing. The first category we're going to talk about is, I guess the best way to frame it would be expectations or feelings about how I dress. And then the second conversation is about the future of the show. So I'll start with the first one. And anyone who knows TJ and I knows that TJ is most certainly the more fashion forward of the two of us. He, is more attuned with his own sense of style. I'm not going to say that he follows all the trends. He definitely dresses how he likes, but he takes a lot of pride in his appearance when he goes out. He's, like I said, he pays more attention to what's going on in the fashion world, or brands, or sneakers, clothes, whatever, and not just about being a label whore or anything like that, but just literally just being invested in a certain aesthetic, whatever that aesthetic he may want to give off at that time. Does I feel like I'm summarizing that in a fair way?
Sure, why not?
Whereas I am more of a creature of comfort. I like to dress, don't get me wrong, I do like to dress up occasionally when I feel like I'm stepping out, I'm going somewhere, I'm doing something. But on the regular, I'm more of I want to be comfortable. I don't want to necessarily look homeless, but I want to be comfortable. I want to be sensible. I want to be simple. I believe I dress in a little bit more of a classic sense, but I do feel like sometimes, either because of where I am in my head in life, or what I'm doing in life professionally and personally, that it often lends itself to I want to look pulled together, but I'm going to definitely comfort is usually my foundation for how I dress. And TJ and I have had these conversations many times in the course of our relationship, but more recently, and this is kind of where I think my tip had stemmed from, the conversation came up again about, TJ feeling like I don't try, right? I don't try to look like anything. I don't care about my appearance, and how that makes him feel, and how he feels it's maybe a not an indictment or something towards him, but it's just you not seeming like you don't care means that you don't care what I think, because basically TJ, grew up with the women in his life, always looking very pulled together and wearing heels and all of these things. And so that's not necessarily an aesthetic that I subscribe to more on a regular basis. But, the question becomes did TJ, and what he said was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you were you've come to accept my wardrobe choices or my style choices for what they are, because basically you don't expect anything more from me. And so that led me to the tip of the conversation around did you really evolve in understanding that everybody's not going to dress the way that as the women that you grew up, or the preferences that you have, or do you feel like you just settled? Because I took some slight offense, or that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. So
I mean, I maybe I did settle, but sometimes you have to settle. I feel like if you ask someone to do something and they're not going to change, if they're not going to take that advice, if they don't care, if for them, like you've told me multiple times, but we're only going to the movies. Why do I have to dress up to go to the movies? So if you don't care, and that's something that I really wanted, but it's not that much of a deal breaker in the sense of, all right, she won't dress up, but she does other things that I do like, then sometimes you got to be like, all right, fuck it.
So, but then does it warrant, but then what happens if that, I feel like that was the case, then why would it then be a topic of conversation ever again? And can we back up though for a second?
Okay.
Just for our people listening, what is in your own words, what is your point of contention, or what is your problem with how I dress?
My point of contention is that you don't put effort. You put on clothes to put on clothes, but you're not saying like, it's a Friday night and we're not doing nothing, but you know what? We can't do nothing. It's a pandemic, but let me just throw on an outfit. Like when I like the fact that if I said in a regular world that we were going out and I was like, yo, we're going out to whatever, you're not gonna put on an outfit to say, I want TJ to sweat me. You're gonna be like, I want to put on an outfit that makes me feel comfortable.
So
whereas I'm gonna put on an outfit and I'm like, I hope Dani says something. Like I'm dressing the way that I'm going to dress, whatever, but I'm still going to put some effort into it or whatever. Or if earlier in the week you said you liked this t-shirt I had on, or you saw something, you was like, that looked good, babe, whatever. I'm going to remember that and I'm going to take that into consideration the next time we're going to go out. So whereas I just feel like with you, it's just like, well, it's clothes. You put on clothes to put on clothes. That's it.
So like I said, I do base a lot of like my fashion choices off of like being comfortable, because I ultimately have to be the one to wear them for however long I have to wear them for. And for the most part, I've come to terms with that. But not forsaking, like I don't try to look slovenly. I don't try to look like I'm like a slob.
I've never said that you do look like a slob.
I know, but
I'm just saying that
sometimes your reaction to. So like,
because sometimes you want me to give you a reaction, but it's like you didn't put any effort into it. So you want me to give you the reaction of, oh my God, you look so great, but you didn't do anything.
I don't really feel like I know when I'm like fishing for compliments, and that's usually when like I'm like dressed up, like we're going to a wedding or we're going to a party, like a birthday party for someone. And I'm really like putting a lot of like, I know when I'm like putting a lot of effort into what I have. Like when like the last like time we dressed up, probably like when we went to Hector's wedding, Hector and Bianca's wedding, or Danae's birthday, or the sneaker ball, right? Those are like the three like dressed up events I can think of. And those are moments where like I would hope that you would have complimented me on how I look, because I know I'm putting effort in. And I feel as though those are times where I would be like, I would hope that you would pay me a compliment, because I know I'm trying. That are things that are kind of coming off the top of my head. Now for pre-COVID life or even current COVID life or whatever, if I'm just kind of dressing up every day, like I'm not just sitting here grabbing whatever's clean or whatever's available to me, like and that be it. Like I still try to like, make sure my shirt and my leggings or my shirt and my shorts match, or my, and those types of things. But I'm not necessarily like going like trying to like have some type of like wow factor to go from my bedroom to the office or to downstairs to do work or anything like that. And I most certainly wouldn't expect you to be like, I wouldn't be like fishing for compliments at that point, because I know that I am dressing for comfort. But I guess, and I know we've had this conversation many a time about like, again, pre-pandemic, which was like, if we're going to the movies, like, you can get cute, you can get that and the other. And I guess maybe our working definitions of what cute is may vary. And like, I'm sometimes like, I think I look cute, or some like there are times where like I do think I look cute. I may not be in heels or I may not have on like a form-fitting like necessarily outfit, but I still think I look cute. And then there are other times where I absolutely am just like, oh, we're just going to the movies. I'm gonna throw on like a hoodie and some jeans and or a sweatshirt and jeans, and we're gonna run to the rock and roll to the movies because I'm thinking about the experience more than I'm necessarily worried about everything I got on. But and the reason why I feel like we even brought it up was because TJ and I will get to the other part of it, but we were having a conversation and kind of a disagreement about the state of the show and everything else like that. But you use that as like an example of like you expressing your frustration or your concern or your discontent with something, and then you feeling like I don't change anything about it. And that was the only time where it kind of like it in that tonight's discussion that hurt my feelings a little bit, because it felt like you were like I dress whack or I dress trash or whatever, and I don't necessarily dress for other people's approval, but I'm also not trying, like, it's almost like it feels like you feel like I'm trying to look bad on purpose. And like that's why you're so upset with me.
I'm not upset with you. I'm upset with the lack of effort. And I think that's the difference. And I don't think that we're talking about that. I don't want you to... When I was younger, yes, I grew up. My grandmother still wear heels to this day. When she's going out, she's dressing to the nines. My mother dressed up. So yes, I come from that. My cousins, all my female cousins, they dressed up. Or women cousin. I don't want to use the wrong word. They dressed up. So then when so in your mind, you see this. You see generation of women dressing up, getting fly. And they could be just going to the movies. They could just be going to the store, but they just had a pride, they had a confidence about them. And then when you are with someone and they're like, well, it's just the movies, it's kind of like, wait, I had this picture that this is what women do, and this is not the picture. And then when you speak to your partner, you're like, well, I would like you to dress up because that's what I like. And you're like, well, it's not comfortable for me, so I don't care type situation. That's how it comes across. So then now you get into this realm where it's like, okay, you have to weigh the good and the bad. Are you going to break up with somebody because they don't dress the way that you want to dress? Some people would do it. For me, it wasn't that, but I had to lower my expectations so that way I wouldn't be more upset.
So
or that way I wouldn't have resentment towards you or anything like that. But my issue isn't that. My issue is that you don't put the effort. I understand we're going to the movies. If we go to movies 10 times in 6 months, let's just say, you mean to tell me that one time you can't put on an outfit that TJ wanted because that's what he asked for?
So so
you can't ask me that now because it's not going to be fair. Because like I said, my expectations are so low. I can't tell you that right now.
Can you understand that? I don't know. So, I mean, it feels like when you say that your expectations are so low, that's what I'm saying. Like, because you
want me to tell you what kind of outfit, and I can't tell you what kind of outfit.
But to me, it's like what looks like a put together or fly outfit to you in 2020 on a woman.
I mean, shit, a woman who she can have on a sweatsuit with some sneakers, but it was well put together. The hair is popping, the makeup is fresh, and that to me now could be attractive. It's just, did you put effort? Did you go in your closet and you say, you know what? I'm going to put these outfits on. I'm going to try on this. I'm going to see how I like it. I'm going to see how it makes me feel. Or did you just say, we're going to the movies. Where's my leggings and my hoodie? And let me grab that. Because you can still be basic, quote unquote, or put on a regular outfit. Honestly, to me, me and my friends always talk about it. I think the sexiest is a woman who can throw on a pair of jeans and some heels. Like real basic like, this is a basic outfit, but she threw on heels, and now she took that basic outfit and made it a sexy outfit, because it's like, you're not saying, like, you're not going out in a see-through outfit or anything like that. It's so basic, but it's sexy because it's like, oh shit. So that's, for me, has always kind of been my thing. But yeah.
And so if you had to, so then let's talk about right now, right? So what is something that I wear that you feel like is just, Dani, you're just not even, you don't care? Like, I'm trying to, first of all, I'm trying to paint a picture to give points of reference to people listening, but also so that way there's like a thing of like,
I would have to see the next outfit. I would have to see the next outfit you put on, and then I can kind of give you that. I can't just give you that off the whim, because again, in my eyes, all your outfits are pretty much
the same.
Yeah, like, sometimes you put effort into it, sometimes you don't. Like, I can tell when you put effort, and I can tell when you just rolled over and threw on whatever.
What does effort look like for me?
Did you put on effort today? Because I feel like your hair looks done today, like.
Well, so to just to give you guys a visual, I had a braid out. So I washed my hair on, today's Sunday, I washed my hair on Friday, and then my hair was still braided Saturday, so I put my head wrap on when I went to do whatever I was doing on Saturday.
I would say that what you have on today is cool. It's a simple outfit, it's a comfortable outfit, but it looks like you put on effort, and it may be because you took the braids out. Like,
so you just
that's
not my hair is.
That's not something that you could just take the braids out and that's it. You still had to take the braids out and then make sure that it was the puff that you wanted and stuff like that. There was effort put into what you put on today. That's the difference. And it's not, again, you could put your head wrap on. It's not that. All I'm asking for is effort. That's it. And I think that you're taking it out of the context because of whatever. You know, if you put effort into an outfit, and you know when you didn't. It's similar to school. If you got an F because you didn't do the work, you can't get mad at the teacher and be like, wait, I put my name on the paper. You didn't do anything.
So I feel as though there are times I can hear you when you talk about effort, right? You want people to look like they put effort into their appearance. You're not going to get effort every time, because there are times when you put effort in, there's times when you don't put effort in.
I didn't say I want effort every time.
I didn't say you did. I'm just saying that's the expectation. That's not the expectation. That is, we want to make sure that we're setting the tone. But I also feel like I don't know, like maybe it's a little bit hurtful when it's like because this is the thing. There have been times where I thought I looked okay. I thought I looked decent, and you were like, is that what you're wearing? Or like, is that what you're putting on? And now insecurity, second guessing, all that stuff comes flooding to the front, and it's just like, well, goddamn, like I tried. And also because, like, we're talking about I'm working from home, and so I'm not just like putting on. And
again, but you're talking about right now, and this isn't a right now thing. We've been together since I was 15. You were 16, right? I've known you since 03. We started dating 03, broke up, got back together in 04. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about 16, 17 plus years of what I'm saying. So don't make it seem like I'm just saying now that we're home and COVID.
No,
I know, but that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like you're making it seem like, well, because I'm home during COVID, I get that. But even during home being COVID, it's easy to be comfortable not putting in any effort because we're not going nowhere or anything. But even if you put on an outfit just to walk around the house, so you put on an outfit so that way when we go to your sister's house or we're going out to run our errands, like, that can be something that we can do to normalize our new normal. That's all. Ultimately, all I've asked for is for you to put effort. If you put in effort, then there's nothing else.
So what happens if my effort doesn't meet your expectation?
Well, I don't really have an expectation. So
if I say,
like I told you, I can tell when you've put an effort and I can tell when you haven't. The difference is I'm more vocal on it and you wouldn't. Like if the roles were reversed, if I wore the same outfit every single day, you don't care because you're just like, it doesn't bother you. And that's where we always differ, because I'm going to tell you the things that I don't like or the things that I want change or whatever. And you're just going to roll with it just to roll with it. And that's where we're always going to differ. It doesn't mean that you're right and it doesn't mean I'm wrong. Like we just do things differently. But
I also feel like something like wardrobe and fashion is a more of a personal thing. So like short of you like not dressing for a particular occasion appropriately, I'm not going to comment on necessarily or have a stake in how you dress because it's your
I feel like
choice.
People who dress up, who put on stuff, you look good. Like, and when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good. So I think it's a mentality. I also think that because you were bigger and you're comfortable not putting in effort, because the shit that someone's a smaller size could wear, you probably couldn't wear. So you're stuck in that mode. You've lost weight and it's like, you don't have to wear the same clothes that you wore when you were bigger. You can be more confident. And I get it. It's not going to be an overnight situation. It's not going to be whatever. But you have to embrace the new Dani. Otherwise, you could have stayed the way that you were.
Okay. And, well, I'll say this. Maybe your delivery of these things aren't like always on point, as far as like we've had the conversation, like even when I was heavier and you were like, it doesn't matter how big you are, it's all about confidence, it's about how you wear this and the other. And yeah, it is, but
Lizzo's way bigger than you, and she's confident. There's women out there who are bigger.
People take issue. I mean, she doesn't take issue with it,
but people are gonna do that regardless. It's the same thing we talked about last week. People are always gonna have an opinion about you, and they're gonna say whatever. That has nothing to do with what you put forth.
But you can't make a person feel a way. You can't strong arm them into or shame them into looking a certain way or carrying themselves a certain way.
So I shamed you into...
I mean, sometimes I felt ashamed when you've like been critical of how I dress. Like I've been like, he's embarrassed of me, or he doesn't like think I'm pretty, or no, I'll say this, like you'll say, no one can take away from the fact that you're pretty. Like you have a pretty face, you have a beautiful face, but everything else, like not everything else, but like you'll say like, but how you dress, like you don't.
You can control that. Yeah. That's one thing.
But sometimes I think I look okay. I think I look okay.
I don't think I've ever critiqued you when you've put in effort. And I was like, okay.
I'm making a face.
Yeah.
Because
so you got it.
I don't like. There's when I.
The next time that I do that, you call me out on that, and then that way I would be able to be accountable for that.
So the next time I put in effort.
The next time that you put in effort,
and you say, what is that?
And TJ says whatever that makes you insecure or whatever, call me out.
Okay. Because there have been times, and I feel like I have been a little bit more confident because there are things that you've been a little bit critical of what I had on, and you know, will be, and I'll say, well, I like it, and you were like, well, that's all that matters, and this
100%. Yeah, I've always said that.
But it's just like, why do you even have to say anything? I don't know. It's like, why do you even feel the need? Like, I feel like I don't. And again, and you know what? I will own that is a you're you and I'm me situation, because I very rarely, if ever, comment on what you have on. Like the only time I comment on what you have on is when you explicitly ask me about what I think, and then more often than not, if I don't like what you have on, if I say I'm not a fan of it, I mean, my opinion is like, A, either you don't care, or B, you dismiss my opinion anyway because you're like, you don't have any fashion sense, so what am I bothering to ask if you...
I may have said that when I was younger. I haven't said that in recent times. I do take what my significant other wants, I do take what my partner wants into consideration. If you said that that a color looks good on me, I'm gonna wear that color because that's what you say, and I want the compliment. Like at the end of the day, when you married, when you're long-term dating and stuff like that, you still got to flirt. You still got to make that person want you regardless. Just because you've been dating long-term or you're married or whatever, that shit don't stop. So just because you got the individual.
For me, or do you dress for you?
I dress for me, but I still try to take into consideration. Sometimes I ain't gonna put on an outfit. I'm gonna be like, yo, she's gonna be like, yo, you look good.
And it's crazy. It's like it's a mindset thing, because sometimes, on the rare occasion when I do try or I put in effort, I'm more so thinking like, you're saying that you think I'm gonna put this on because Dani's gonna be like, you look good. I put things on and I'm like, TJ's not gonna clown you. Or like maybe he won't be critical of this.
So I'll work on not joking with you, because obviously my jokes are.
But you're not joking.
Sometimes I am joking. Sometimes, like
when I'm like, is that what you're wearing? That's not a joke.
It is a joke because
why say it?
Because I know that you don't like it. So it's a joke. It's a joke in the sense of I'll say it jokingly because it's like, is that what you're wearing? Because I know that it's gonna make you whatever. So I'm gaslighting in that, I guess.
But then when that happens, do you like what I have on, or do you not? Okay.
This has been multiple times, and I've said that as a joke, and then I was like, nice outfit, Dani. But again, you don't champion me on my progression because I've said whatever one time or multiple times growing up. So even when I am complimenting you now, it's still like, is he really meaning that or whatever? So it doesn't even matter.
But we've had that conversation too about,
if you're not going to allow someone to grow, then it doesn't matter.
Okay, but if you're not going to give somebody time to like to also get to trust that the person is really evolving.
Well, that's the reason why I said I will not joke with you like that again.
But
that's my fault.
Okay. And we've had this conversation before about certain things where we've been together 16 years and you have really begun to evolve and mature in like leaps and bounds. Not that you haven't over the course of 16 years, but maybe the last 2 to 3 years, I feel like have been like very revolutionary for you as far as your perspective, as far as your ownership, as far as your sensitivity, all that stuff like that. So if you say in the last 2 to 3 years that's been that means you've got 15 years of the other way. And it's going to take time for me to like unlearn the behaviors or my reactions or my responses to certain scenarios that often have come up in our relationship. And it's, not to be on my science teacher kick, but it's like Pavlov's dog. I've been conditioned to feel a way or to respond a way, down to it's like cellular, babe, like where I have a response to certain things that you say or do. And even though now when you're saying it, if you're saying it and you're saying it in earnest, you're saying it just because you sincerely mean it, or if you're saying it because you're just truly just trying to joke with me and bust my chops because that's how you used to be, but it's not how you are anymore. I'm still learning how to like not immediately get like tense or defensive or hurt or whatever. And
let's go over all the things, we don't have to do it right now, that you don't like, and then we can figure that thing out, because again, I've always been a jokey person and whatever, but obviously I can't be jokey because you feel the way that you feel, which is fair. I'm not saying that the way you feel isn't fair, but I would just rather not have to deal with.
I mean, if we're gonna have it as like an honest and sincere like conversation for both of us in both ways, then that's fine. But I don't want it to be a thing of like you feeling like it's an indictment against you or it's a whatever, because it's just like,
it's not necessarily just an indictment, but it's just like at the end of the day, if somebody can't change, or if you don't give someone the space to change, to grow, then how do you expect them to change and grow? Like, I'm saying as we're talking, I'm literally, as I'm talking, I'm like, oh shit, I was gaslighting her. Like I'm really saying, okay, when I say that, that's a trigger, and TJ, you got to stop, because even though I'm joking, you are obviously not in a space to take that as a joke. So I need to stop because it's going to make matters worse. So I'm understanding that. I'm understanding what you're saying, and I'm saying at the end of the day, the difference between me, like, I'm going to be accountable for anything. If you tell me that I hurt your feelings, I'm going to take that into consideration. If you said, babe, I want you to do more of this, I'm going to take that into consideration, because that's what you do. I'm not going to just be like, oh, well, that's how you feel. That's your problem. So again, I'm saying that obviously there are things I say or do that are triggering. And for those things that I say or do that are triggering, I'd rather us have a conversation so we can figure it out. And even though it may not be something that I may want to change, it may be something that I have to change. And I'm okay with that. See, your thing is like, oh, I don't want you to feel like whatever, but you feel the way that you feel. So no matter what, one of us are going to have to concede or make changes.
Well,
it's easier for me to do it.
It's not about one person over the other making changes, whatever. There are things that I have to make changes for too, but I think it's just like, I see the growth, right? But what I'm also asking for is like the grace to like understand that it's not going to always happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight where I'm going to like immediately be like, oh yeah, this is the new and improved TJ. So he doesn't.
How long do I get? Like, how long do I have to change for it to be acknowledgement that, oh shit, TJ's changed?
I don't. There is no set time.
6 years, 7 years.
There is no set timeline, and that's something I'm working on in myself. Is to trust and believe that when you say you're fine, or when you say it's okay, or when you say that it was just a joke or whatever, that I believe you. But it's like you are a very much, in a lot of ways, the voice in my head. And when I say that with my choice of fashion, even though I am getting better at just like embracing my own style and, you know, not caring so much about what you think or whatever. But I can be sometimes very guarded about that, because I'm like, you know, are you going to be critical of it? Are you going to say that it looks like not put together? Or you know, and like, so, and to one extent, right? One thing that you used to do, but that you've absolutely 100% grown from, is like comparing me, right? That was something that you used to do back when we were younger, about comparing me to people in your family and how they dress, to our friends and my friends, that, and how they look more put together, whatever. And you'd be like, this person does this, whatever. You don't do that anymore. And so that is something that over time, and that's something that you stopped doing way before 2 or 3 years ago. And that's something with time that I feel more confident about, when it's like, I don't feel as like triggered or as like upset when you like, if and when you ever reference that, because you don't really do that anymore. But, you know, it's a thing of like, I just hope that the expectations that I feel sometimes that are placed upon me are also you place upon yourself. And you do, in the sense that like, you absolutely very much care about your appearance, and when you're stepping out or whatever and looking pulled together, and you just have more of a head for it and a sense for it. But I guess I just want to make sure that just because I don't think like you when it comes to fashion sensibilities doesn't mean that I'm always not trying. And you know, you said that you can tell when I'm trying and when I put in effort, when I haven't put in effort. But there are also like, you know, I think we also just have different, you know, frames of reference or expectations around like what are qualifiers for like looking pulled together. We talked about the movies a lot, and for me, the movies is just like a run-of-the-mill place that you go to. You wear jeans and a t-shirt, and you keep it and some sneakers, and you keep it pushing. But when I'm going to a cocktail party, or I'm going to a club, or I'm going to a birthday dinner or something like that, that's the times when, like, you know, if that's the occasion, that you look more pulled together. And some of my outfit choices in the past, or my wardrobe choices, had to do a lot with my size and body confidence and things like that. And that shit doesn't like pop up overnight. And you know, I am not Lizzo. I am not other plus size women who are, you know, super confident. I'm more comfortable. I'm more confident than I have been in the past, but it still is not an overnight process. And
I don't think anybody asked you to make it overnight.
Okay, it's not.
I've never said, Dani, you have to be this person, and but again, that leads into why someone may change their expectations, right? If the bar was a 90 and that person thinks that a 90 is too much, but then you say it's 65 and now that person gives you an 80, it's kind of like, okay, you exceeded what it was. Maybe the expectations that I had was just high, but I don't want you to think that. For me, it's always been about the effort. And that's what I'm always going to go back to. You know when you put in effort and you know when you don't. And again, yeah, it's just the movies. But if your significant other likes something, and even though it's just the movies for you, they're asking for something. So why can't you say, you know what? It's just the movies, but this is what he wants. Let me give him that opportunity.
Okay. I mean, I get it. But
because if it was the other way around, if Dani was like, babe, I like when you wear your suits. And I'm like, but Dani, I only wear my suits when I go to work. But she said she likes when I wear my suits. You know what I'm probably going to do? I'm going to pick one time when we going out, I'm going to wear my motherfucking suit because that's what she likes. And I want my wife to be like, yep, I can't wait to get home.
And
so sometimes that's why people put in the effort. Yeah.
Because that's, and I will commit to working on that. You've gotten, like, I hear you, and I hear you. I'll take the L.
It's not about taking L's. You hear me, but what? Because you don't agree, so.
No, I hear you, and it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense than when we were talking about it earlier, which is why I'm glad we discussed it on the show. But I don't know. It doesn't feel good to feel like somebody had to lower their expectations in order to meet you somewhere. Like, it still makes me feel like whack. Like, you don't like how I dress the majority of the time. Let's say 75% of the time. It's not a reaffirming feeling. It's just like it doesn't necessarily feel like an evolution on your part. It feels like a settlement. And maybe you did. Maybe you do feel like you settled, and that's what it is. But
when I was younger,
it still doesn't mean that I have to feel like it feels good. It doesn't.
When I was younger, I would probably say that I felt like I was settling. But as you get older, you know, there's certain things that just is not as important. Would I want my wife to dress up and make me want her? Of course. But if it's not that important to her, but she's doing other things, then yeah, sometimes yeah. And again, I think because the word settling may sound bad, but sometimes we do.
It is bad.
Okay, well.
I mean,
sometimes you have to do that if you want to make it work. I'm a believer. Sometimes you have to settle, or you have to drop your expectations or on certain things. Because again, if I want you to wear heels and you don't want to wear heels, what am I supposed to do? Break up with you now? So I'm supposed to leave you because you won't give me what I want or what I need, or do I have to change my mindset? So
it's maybe instead of saying settling or lowering your expectations, we could talk about it as like managing your expectations. Because when I've worn heels and then I have them on for an hour, 2 hours, and now my feet are hurting and I'm walking slow, then you're like, you used to be mad at me.
Well,
for holding you up.
Let's talk about that. We can move forward. And again, that probably goes back into changing your expectations. Yes, I want someone to wear heels, but if you're going to complain the whole night and complain about stuff and we're going to have to stop and stuff, then no, you don't ever have to wear heels. I haven't asked you to wear heels in years. I don't go buy you heels no more. Why? Because you don't wear them and you're not going to keep them on. So you don't have to wear them for me. Mm-hmm. It's not an expectation anymore. Mm-hmm. It's just not. So
may I ask one, I guess, maybe a final question before I will say what I will commit to out of this, which is like, is your issue with because there is still an issue that you take with my fashion sensibilities, however you want to call it.
My issues is that you don't put in effort. That's going to be my issue when I say it every single time. You do not put in the effort. If we're going to the movies, I get it. We're going to the movies. And that might not be a big deal to you, but it's a fucking date night for me.
So what does effort look like and what does not effort look like for me?
I don't know how to explain. What does effort look like?
Like, what is it? When do you see me? When's a time you saw me and you felt like I tried?
If you have a twist out, it means you're going to put effort on your hair. So that's effort. If I see that you've taken out maybe one or two outfits, or you changed, or you put something on, you like the way it looked, and then you switch something else on, to me, that's effort. And again, sometimes you can pick out an outfit and it'll be perfect. It's a perfect outfit. But yeah, I mean,
I guess I asked that because I need like context. I need points of reference. But I understand that it's also kind of putting you on the spot because it's not like you have like a catalog of everything I've ever worn in your head or anything like that. But I didn't know if there were any like standouts that you were like, yeah, this was a moment when you like.
Sneaker Ball, you were fucking phenomenal. Fucking phenomenal. Because there was effort. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference.
And to me, that's the caliber of event that I'm going to give like that level of effort.
So that's the only time that you can put in effort. So our relationship and dating is based off of where we're going. If I'm taking you to a 5-star restaurant, then I can get that caliber. But if I'm taking you to a hole in the wall, that's going to be a fucking amazing night. You're like, well, I can wear what I wear during Corona. I can throw on sweatpants and put my hair, and I could put on a hat, and that can be my outfit for the night. I don't have to put in the effort. And that's the difference. All I'm saying is that we're going to the movies and you say, you know what? TJ wants this, so I'm going to wear this because this is what TJ wants. He asked for this, so let me throw on this number because this is what he asked for. That's effort. I mean, I don't know how else to say it or do it. I mean...
Okay.
Maybe next time you put on an outfit, you want me to take a picture and grade it for you, or like? I
gave you a suggestion earlier before we got on the recorded, and
but that was a stupid suggestion to me.
Why was it stupid?
Because your suggestion was that I have to pick out your outfit for the next week or so to help you, whatever. And my thing is, once I do that, okay, so now I've done that. Where do we go from that? Now I have to pick out your outfits every time.
No, that's not why. That was not that wouldn't be the purpose of the exercise.
Okay, well that's the way that I feel.
The purpose of the exercise with me would be like, you don't like what I pick, so show me what looks like good. Show me what looks like good to you.
But But even that is an extreme because you've had on outfits recently, and I've told you that you look cute. I've told you that you look good. We're talking about isolated issues. But again, if I bring up an issue that I have about this area, you take it and you put it to the rest of your whole entire life.
I don't think that that's necessarily true, but
okay.
Give me a percentage, because if this is something we've been talking about for 16 years, right? What is the percentage of times that you feel like I look like I'm pulled together and I look like I'm not trying? Like, give me a ratio.
Of not trying?
Like, outfits that you feel like I look like I give a fuck about myself, and outfits that you feel like I look like I don't care.
I don't have a percentage. I would go 50-50 because I think I've kind of just like zoned out. Like, manage my expectations. Like,
but I guess I do believe you, but I think because like this, we kind of brought up our core. I brought up the chorals kind of out of order, but like we were talking about the future of the show, but somehow we got onto this topic about effort and trying and whatever else, and like so my thing is like if you're using it as a reference to make
that as one of the reference
to make a point, then it's still
to make the point that you don't put the effort into the things. If it's something that TJ wants or something that TJ believes in, you're not going to put the effort in. But if it's something else that Dani, if you're only going to put effort into things that you want to put effort in. So a sneaker ball, you're like, I have to put my effort in there. Mm-hmm. Going to the movies, I don't have to put my effort in there.
But you want effort for both.
Yes. I think that's what anybody wants. They want effort. Can we all have our bad days? 100%. Can we all have our bummy days? 100%. But as far as, and this is just my opinion, you don't put in the effort unless you think that it's going to be something top notch. That's the only way that you're going to put in an effort. Mm-hmm. You can't be a bad bitch to go to the movies. Those are your words. That's what I get from you. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to the movies, there's no way that I'm going to be dressing to the nines because I'm going to the movies. You are too good to dress like something because you're going to the movies. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're going to the movies, but what if we wanted to go out to the club after? What if we wanted to go to a lounge after? Then what? You're not dressed for that because you thought we were only going to the movies. So you should dress, to me, you should put in the effort that you want. Because at the end of the day, yeah, we're going to the movies, but you don't know what's going to happen.
So I should dress like I'm going somewhere.
You should dress like I can wear this to the movies, but I can also go to the club and I can also go here. This is an all-purpose outfit. We all have outfits that we're like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing today, but I'm going to put this outfit on because I can go into I can go to different areas with this outfit. And you are one track, like, I'm going to the movies, I can only wear this, and I'm only going to wear this to go to the movies. That's it. This is the only outfit I can put on because I'm going to the movies. Who cares? It's just the movies. Like,
mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's the difference.
Well...
But it went into effort because we were talking about the future of the show, and I feel like that you don't put the effort into Lovers Quarrel the way that I put in the effort into Lovers Quarrel. You don't care as much, so it is what it is, and that's where the effort. So I have to give you examples because if I just said that, you're going to be like, well, how? How so? That doesn't, whatever. But it's who you are. It's who you've always been. If it's not something that you care about, if it's not something that affects you directly, you're not going to put the effort in.
So that leads us to the second part of our conversation, which is what TJ started touching on. And I have a difference of opinion from TJ on that, which is, in some ways I understand and I can see where he's coming from. In other areas, I kind of have a difference of opinion. So TJ does a lot of the groundwork before the show. Like, he knows how to run the tech and sets, the mics and stuff up. And he does a lot more, maybe like our social media presence and engagement, or like our Instagram page and things like that. I still tend to default and operate out of my personal page. And, I obviously come on here and we do the show. I do a lot of the blurbs, like the captions and things like that. But TJ often scouts out guests and things like that. So I will absolutely say that TJ does more of the legwork when trying to like bring new or interesting people to the show or trying to engage with folks. I also feel like on that same note that sometimes I'm doing other things that free up your bandwidth to be able to do those things. Like, and so that's why sometimes I'm not as like in it or doing the day-to-day things to grow the show. And we've been at it for quite some time now, and we've got like a little steady stream of listeners and stuff like that. Could we potentially be bigger than what we are? Possibly. But I also look at it through the lens of like, we are working adults with a child who, and I'm not saying that there aren't other people out here doing that, but it's just like we also went through like a very transformative time in our life while also doing this podcast. And we want the work of the show to be consistent and to be quality, but it also, like, I want it to be like, once we're in it and it's fine. But yes, do some weeks, does it feel like a chore? Absolutely. But once it's done and it's cool and we're on to the next one. But I feel like we have to sit down and have a conversation, like, when we're not so, like, feelings aren't so high, like, yeah, feelings aren't as high up, in order to really see, like, okay, where are we going with this? You know, do we stop once it just no longer becomes fun? Do we stop if we feel like we don't get any traction with it? Where do we even want to see this show to go? Like, because, you know, we've always said that if we just sit here and have a conversation with each other every week about whatever's going on in our lives and no one even listens, that we're still happy, but we're still happy, we're still enjoying it, then that's fine. But if we want this to be more than that, what is it going to take for us to put it into it? And some days it does definitely sense and feel like it is more of like a passion of yours than it is of mine. But it doesn't mean that I don't care. It doesn't mean that I want it to fail. It doesn't mean that I'm trying to sabotage it.
So can I ask a question then?
Yeah.
Because it takes two people to record.
Yes.
We're co-hosts.
Yes.
So if I'm always ready and you're not ready, how do we record?
I don't think that it's always the case that I'm not ready and you're ready, because there's, like, when you're talking about just even like our segments, I'll have my segments ready to go and like
you will get your segments ready to go, because I'm like on Sunday, like, hey, are we recording today? And then you go get your segment ready. But it's not like you've had your segment ready for weeks and you've been waiting for me. Most of the time I'm waiting for you to be able to record. And that's frustrating, because we know that the show comes out once a Monday. Mm-hmm. So we have from Tuesday to Sunday to record. TT Tuesdays is on Tuesday. So we can record on Tuesday, and we can set that. Every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we're going to record, because you know why? Tatum's not going to be here. That doesn't happen. Okay. Then you have Wednesday. What happens on Wednesday? I don't know. We don't record then. Thursday happens. What happens? We don't record. This Friday, don't record. Saturday, we can record Saturday morning. Doesn't happen. So again, how do we do a show?
But that's a discussion we both need to have. We've had
that conversation before.
So
we've had the conversation of setting.
Since we moved the show to Monday, when did we agree to record?
Touche. You got it, Danielle.
Because to me, that's the only part that feels unfair, because it's just like, you know what, I'll take the majority of the responsibility or the accountability on this part, but it's still not only me. I am not always the one holding shit up. First of all, even if we record on Tuesdays, sometimes you have calls at 9 p.m. So
that's once a month on the last Tuesday of every month. So that'll be the only time that we can't do it. But you got it. You just said it. We've never had that conversation. So me and you can have that conversation, and we'll see if that changes anything. Okay. I'm being a pessimist. I don't think that it will. So you're gonna put. I think that we can say a date, and that date will change. And I'm frustrated, so I can apologize for that later. But yeah, I'm thinking everything negative, and that's not typically who I am. But it's just like, we've had these conversations before. We know that we have to record. We know these things, but yet we still are trying to figure out when we're going to record. And again, it'll be different if it was TJ. If it was me, then yes. And honestly, we've had the conversation. I'm like, yo, babe, we need to sit down and we should plan out our shows for the next couple of weeks. So that way it's just easy. It could just literally be, we sit down and talk. You said, cool. That was it. But again, that means I have to be the one to say, Dani, when can you sit down? Mm-hmm. It's a partnership, or at least that's what it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But it's not a partnership.
So you feel like because you initiate the topic.
I initiate everything. I do everything for the most part. I lead everything. You've never once said, you know what? Let me set this stuff up just because I know we got to record. I'm ready. Let me set up to record. That's never happened. It's never been like, you know what? I seen a story today, or I seen something on IG. Let me reach out to that person to see if they want to be a guest. It's never been that. Mm-hmm. If I don't do it, if I don't initiate it, if I don't ask you to do it, it won't get done. You've shown that time and time again. Mm-hmm. But the difference is is, like I said, if it's not something that you're going to be committed to, we can end it. And that way we don't have to worry about doing it. You don't like the idea of it because your thing is like, well, you're going to say that we ended it because of you. But that's part of it. If you're not into it, I am into it. We have decided that we can't move forward because we can't come to an agreement that's going to be successful.
So I feel as though, yeah, that's part of it, because it's just like, I don't think that it doesn't feel fair, because it's not just that you're into it and you're doing everything and I'm not into it and I'm not doing anything but just sitting down for an hour and change a week and having the conversation or whatever else like that. But it's also like I said, I feel like because I handle a lot of like household responsibilities, I make that so like I said to you earlier, like sometimes the trajectory or the focus of the show is not the number one priority for me at that point. Maybe it's the number 6 priority one week, and maybe it's the number 3 priority the next week, or maybe it's the number 2 priority one week, and then it's the number 7, depending on what's going on.
So if it's not something that can be a priority, then if it's not a priority for you, you're answering my own question. If it's not a priority for you, then we can't do it because it's not a priority for you.
But it shifts. But I feel like it shifts for you too. That's what I'm saying, though. I think it shifts. Okay. Maybe not as often for me as you, but it does. I feel like it does shift. So I just feel like it's just. I don't want it to be a thing, because the thing about it, TJ, is that if we were to stop today, if this was the last episode of Lovers Quarrel that ever existed, and you said, and then we never recorded again, you know in your heart of hearts that you would tell the world and you would say it from the rooftops, that you'd be like, it's Danielle's fault that this didn't happen because she didn't try and I did everything and she did nothing.
I don't think I would just come out saying it that way, but okay. Is
that not how you feel?
Would I say that it's...
Do you feel like we're not as successful with this because of me?
Not necessarily, no. It has nothing to do with success. Like, we're not chasing anything. My thing is that I want to be consistent. And consistent means that we do an episode this week, next week we're not doing an episode. We do 2 episodes the following weeks, and then we don't do an episode for another 3 weeks. Like, that's not consistent. So if we're going to be consistent, let's be consistent. If we're not, then let's not. And again, you just said out of your own mouth, one week it's number 3, next week is number 6. So it's not a priority. So if it's not a priority for you and it is a priority for me, then we're not on the same, what's the name? So if we had to end it.
Where does it fall in your priority list?
What do you mean?
Where does it fall? Like my thing too is that
it's a top priority for me because I know that every Monday it releases.
But we both let Sunday roll around and don't fucking have nothing to go off of, and are at this point right now we're recording and it gets done. But my thing is this is like it's a thing of like, if we're both letting the week pass us by for whatever reason, whatever's going on or whatnot. And then we both get.
So I'll start working on my stuff early, and then what I'll do is I'll say, Dani, I'm ready, and then the ball will go back to your court. And then what happens?
I will meet you there, and if I don't already have,
so then
you want it.
That's the solution. That's the solution.
Yeah, but you wanted to. It just feels like you want it to be my fault, or you.
I don't want it to be anybody's fault. But the reality is what the reality is. And if it's not a priority, then who else's fault is it? Let's change it. Let's say it's not a podcast. Let's say it was your job. And you said this week it was a priority. Next week it was number.
It's not a fair comparison.
Okay.
Because
all right,
I get paid to do my job.
You got it. All right. It's not that. What's something that you don't get paid to do that you do consistently? You listen to whatever podcast you listen to every day. Right? Mm-hmm. Every morning you take a shower, is a podcast or something that's playing.
Yeah.
So that's a priority, right? You make time for that. What happens if that was not a priority?
Nothing would happen. There would be no impact because again, not a good example because I'm passively listening to that. It requires nothing from me.
All right. Well, so listen, if the show doesn't continue, it's TJ's fault.
It's not. That's not where I'm going with this.
I don't know what else to say. Like, someone is saying it's not a priority to them.
No,
I'm saying that it's
shifting.
Okay, it's a shifting priority. It's not something that you know that I know, so it's a shifting priority for me too. But I know that every Monday, a new episode supposed to come out. So I know that from Tuesday to Sunday, I am fucking available. But I'm also working on your schedule.
How so?
You're making how so?
So you're just you're waiting.
You know what?
You're waiting on me.
Going forward, I will set a date. We'll figure out a date that we can record always, and then that way it's not because again it comes back to me. It comes back to me.
You're pushing the ball on my court, but it's like you haven't.
If I'm not the person who fucking sets it up, it's not going to get done. So again, I'm frustrated because I have to do all of the legwork. So again, when Danielle says, "You know what, babe? These are the days that work for me." When you come with other solutions other than waiting for me, then it'll be different. But you don't do that. You do not pull your weight. And that's frustrating.
Okay.
You don't want to be accountable, but you are the reason. So that's my issue. My issue is you do not want to take any accountability for your actions and the things that you do and the things that you do not do. You do not want to take any accountability for that at all. Your thing is like, well, no, because it's us and all this other stuff. But when have you ever come to TJ and said, babe, I'm ready to record? You've never done that. When have you ever said, babe, I'm free on Saturday. Let's rock out. Let's set aside some time.
I most certainly don't
you
do
don't,
it
and that's my point.
No, I've done it, but I've definitely not
that's
done it
my
as
point.
often as you do.
That's my point. It's two people. We're a team, or at least we're supposed to be a team. And it does not feel like we're a team. It feels like I'm doing everything. And if it doesn't succeed, the pressure's on me because I'm doing everything. But I'm like, wait, I have a partner. At least I'm supposed to have a partner. My partner doesn't care because it's fleeting. So it doesn't matter.
Fleeting.
That's what you said.
What's fleeting?
Your priorities.
I said they're shifting because of different things that are going on. Because again, this is not. I'm going to take accountability for this. I'm going to take my second L of these quarrels today, from how I dress to my level of proactive participation in this podcast. And I will make a vow on wax to be a more mindful dresser and a more mindful podcast co-host.
Sounds very facetious, but all right.
I'm not being facetious because I don't.
You got it.
I hear you, and even though it's frustrating and upsetting to hear, I feel as though when people hear this, they're going to think that I do not have a leg to stand on. So
you're conceding because you think that's what other people are going to think. So it's not really exactly. That's my point. It's not really how you feel. You're just saying it because because in your mind, people are going to say whatever, or they're going to look at it a certain way. So let me just concede now because if it's easier for me to concede as opposed to fighting a losing battle. Well, it's not a
But if I'm listening, I hear us talking. And I'm imagining myself if I'm listening to us, and even though you're very rah-rah, you're very loud, and you're all that other shit, like the way you're articulating yourself now versus an hour ago when we weren't recording makes more sense. So I am going to say, if I'm sitting here listening to it and I'm getting where TJ's coming from better now than I did an hour and a half ago, maybe it's because he's reiterating it, maybe because even though he's loud as fuck, he's expressing himself more eloquently. I don't know. But my thing is this, is that if I feel like I'm not making my points salient and clear enough, then maybe there's nothing for me left to say. Maybe I am just wrong. So I need to.
Just because you get louder doesn't mean anything. So
me?
Yeah.
I'm speaking with. What do you mean? I'm confused.
It sounds like you're just trying to be loud now because you said TJ was being loud, so now you're just being louder.
No, I'm speaking with emotion. I'm speaking with passion. Like I feel like you of all people would understand that.
You got it.
Ugh. So I'll bring it back down.
No, you got it. I apologize. I was wrong.
For what?
Because you were just being passionate.
What I'm trying to say is that as I'm sitting here listening to it, I feel like we're sitting here at this table and I'm looking at this empty seat and I'm like projecting myself in that seat and I'm just like, Dani, you don't sound like you're right in these conversations. You sound like, I don't know, like all he wants you to do is try. All he wants you to do is put effort in. All he wants you to do is meet him halfway. All he wants you to do is put effort. And like, I could talk about bandwidth. I could talk about second shift. I could talk about the other things I do, but it's just like, my husband just wants me to look pretty and help him out with the podcast. And how bad is that to fuck? Is that so much to ask or whatever? And I'm sure that there are a litany of things I could say that you don't do, or you don't do enough of, or you do too much of. And I probably could, but they're not coming to me right now. So if they're not coming to me right now, then maybe they don't exist, or maybe they're not relevant or to this conversation or to these particular quarrels that we're having right now. And so I'm sitting here, and as much as it may be like I'm like physically like don't want to, maybe I'll just have to take the L. And that's what it comes down to. And I have to just commit to looking better and doing better. That's how I feel right now. Because I don't have another fucking point to make right now. And I apologize for cursing sort of at you, but like, I'm frustrated. I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't know what else to say at this point. Because I think you make sense. I just think that sometimes maybe your delivery is shit. And that's part of where you get lost. But you make more sense now. I don't know. Maybe when people listen to this episode, they'll say, no, Dani, you have a valid point. Or maybe they'll say, no, TJ, he's right on this one, or whatever. I hear people in my head talking about accountability, responsibility, ownership, all other bullshit or whatever. And it's like, I don't.
Accountability and responsibility is bullshit?
No. I'm saying all that other bullshit. I'm talking about like those, like the words and stuff like that. And I didn't say that they were word bullshit. I'm just saying, like, I hear that because it's like, you talk a lot about how you feel like I don't take accountability. I don't take responsibility for things. And I don't want to be on record as like not taking accountability for something that I very clearly need to take accountability for.
But if you feel like but don't do it if you don't truly believe it. And that's my point. You're saying it, but if you're not going to do the steps to change, if you're not going to attempt it, then don't placate me.
I'm not trying to placate you. I'm trying to say maybe I'm being like, maybe it's begrudging, but maybe I'm acknowledging that you're right. I don't have to like it. I don't have to be like, oh, yes, babe, you are so right. I am such a shitty dresser and I don't pull my weight on the podcast. I am so sorry. I'm so wrong. That's facetious. That's foul and fake and phony. But if I'm like, yo, I'm so fucking annoyed and I still have my feelings hurt and I still feel like there's some points I have to be made, but I can't find them right now but I also, as much as I don't want to hear what you have to say, I fucking hear you, and I hear that where you're coming from, and I guess somewhere between all of the like aggression and the anger and the poor ass delivery that sometimes you have, I hear somebody saying like he just wants his wife to look pretty and he feels like he's doing this by himself with his podcast. That's what I'm trying to say. So, since you're dead air on the side, I am going to try to commit to not looking homeless and to doing more, to be more engaging with the show, so that way we can say that we've put in we've made Lovers Quarrel with fidelity and with consistency, and we've done it in earnest. And we can set aside after we finish recording, after we dead this episode and wrap this shit up or whatever, but we could say, this is the day that we will record, and come hella high water, we will record on this day, and we will give it what we got or whatever. We can decide on Tuesdays when Tatum was with my sister. We can do, we used to do sometimes once upon a time, whatever, and we can do that, and in order to be more consistent. And then we also can figure out the things that we want to do to try and engage more listeners or whatever. Yeah. We're going to have to, and I will work to try and be the one to initiate that, because I can absolutely give you that. You very often, majority of the time, are the one who at least initiates certain conversations when it comes to the show. And then, but where I get frustrated, sometimes I feel like you initiate the conversation, but then you feel like that is like, you've done your part and now everything falls on me to like come back to the table. Because then you could say, well, I brought it up. You didn't do anything with it. So I need to not like create that narrative. I need to not contribute to that narrative. So that's all I got at this point. You seem like you're quite checked out and frustrated. Your eyebrows are very furrowed. So,
well, you're the one who wanted to continue recording, so I I was cool with us not recording. I said you can put it on me and stuff like that. So yes, it's frustrating that we have to have these conversations, but it is what it is. So.
Isn't this what we do? We love and we fight. Like
You're right.
So why not put this on wax? And I don't know. Like sometimes we leave out of it feeling good about it. Sometimes we don't. I hated last week's episode. I fucking hated last week's episode. I was so uncomfortable and I hated it. And yet we've got like positive feedback from a lot of different people that, you know, from family and listeners and stuff like that. And like, I still sometimes can't even wrap my head around why people like that last week's episode. Cause I still don't like it. And I don't know how, I don't even like this episode because I'm just like, I don't know how it's going to be received. And more than anything, I hate when I feel like I don't make sense. And I feel like I didn't make sense this episode. So then, but we put it out there into the ether for people to take it and leave it for what they will and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all, as you can tell, this is where we are in the episode where we're going to wrap things up because TJ and I are definitely on the quarrel side of Lovers Quarrel this week. And with that being said, thank you as always for listening and having front row seats to our shenanigans and our tomfoolery. And we're going to still have at it. And we're going to have these conversations offline as well to try and make sure that we're doing the right things and being best and that it's equitable and equal shares of work and effort put in by both of us. So if you want to see and hear more from us, make sure that you follow us on our socials. On Instagram, we are at Lovers Quarrel Show. On Twitter, we are at Lovers Quarrel 7. You can email us your thoughts, concerns, questions, comments, worries, heartaches at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. Make sure that you subscribe, like, share, follow, tag, do all the social media things to support. And yeah, thank you as always for tuning in. You know that I am your girl, Dani.
And I'm your guy, TJ.
And you know that we fuss.
We fight a lot.
But
we love.
Bye.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.